Hello, this is Nancy. Today we are going to discuss the individual and the natures of mass event, chapter 3. So we start with the preface. So on page 82, all being is the manifestations of energy and emotional manifestations of energy. And myth is not a distortion of fact, but a warp through which faith must come. The myth involve an intrinsic understanding of the natures of realities couched in imaginative terms, carrying powers as strong as nature itself. So, myth is like a reflection of natures and in ways that has plot and has humans' emotions. On page 84, when myths become standardized and too literal, when you begin to tie them too tightly to the world of facts, then you misread them entirely. So myths are originally psychic fabrications of such powers and strengths that a whole civilization can rise from their source. They involve symbols and no emotional validities that are then connected to the physical world, so that the world is never the same again. They cast their light over historical events because they are responsible for those events. They mix and merge the inner unseen but felt eternal psychic experience of a man with the temporal events of his physical days and form a combinations that structure thoughts and belief from civilization to civilization. And that's why we found some similarities between different civilizations. And here's you organize physical realities, then through ideas you use only those perceptions that serve to give you those ideas validity. So we come to section A1A, page 89. They are composed of ever spiraling states of existence in which different kinds of consciousness meet and communicate. They are not impersonal realms but are involved in the most highly intimate interactions. Those interactions exist about you all the while, and I would like you in your thoughts to aspire toward them or try to stretch your perceptions enough so that you become at least somewhat aware of their existence. So in your world, knowledge must be translated into specifics, yet we also deal with emotional realities that cannot be so easily deciphered. On section 820, I have said that acts of creativity best approach the workings of framework 2. For those acts always involve leaps of faith and inspirations and the breaking of barriers. Framework 2 are the origins of framework 1, and framework 2 involve a far faster creative activity in which your life is the art involved and all the ingredients for its success are there available. So words serve to express not only the seen but the unseen, not simply facts but feelings and emotions, and where the words themselves escaped their consecutive patterns, sending the emotion into realms that quantified both space and time. The religions, in one way or another, have always perceived it, although the attempt to interpret the reality in terms of the recognized facts of the world is bound to distort it. The pattern is not divorced from your realities, not thrust upon you, not apart from your experience. It often only seems to be because you so compartmentalize your own experience that you automatically separate yourself from such knowledge. Instead, the energy of life is inserted constantly into your world in a way that has nothing to do with your so-called physical laws. I say that the universe expands as an idea does, and that is exactly what I mean. So section 821. Intuitively, each person is born with the knowledge that he or she is not only worthwhile, but fit into the context of the universe in the most precise and beautiful fashions. So man and nature in those terms will meet in an encounter that had meaning, from the largest global effect to the smallest, most private aspect of the individual involved. So everyone's life on earth has certain meanings. It's not a meaningless life at all. So a true identification with nature, however, will show glimpses of man's place in the context of his physical planet and will bring to the forefront accomplishments that he has achieved almost without his knowing. Your body faithfully reflects your inner psychological reality. On page 101, the illness are a part of the interplay between the body and mind or spirit. The disease was not labeled, it was not given recognition as a condition. Worries or fears were not aroused, yet the disease came and vanished. Some portion of each individual is in direct contact with the very source of its own existence. Each individual is innately aware that help is available in every situation and that information does not need to come through the physical senses alone. So the world ego is much bandied about, and in many circles it has a poor reputation. It is, however, as I use it, a term meant to express the ordinarily conscious directive portion of the self. In A Course of Miracle, the ego does have a bad reputation, but here in Seth's material it has a wider interpretations. That is the part, ego is the parts that face the framework one. So on page 104, if the alter ego manipulates with rules of cause and effect and consecutive moments, it deals with an objectified reality. It can stretch its capacities, becoming far more aware of inner events that it is normally allowed to do. But its main purpose is to deal with the world of effects to encounter events. If the inner ego is a portion of you, however, that deal with the formation of events, that glories in a rather rambunctious and creative activity that your specifications of time and place physically preclude. There must be a psychological chambers between those two portions of the self, however, these seemingly undifferentiated areas in which back and forth translations can occur. Dream periods provide that service. The inner ego does the actual work that brings about the events you have decided upon. So as a general rule, the inner ego depends upon your assessments of physical events, your involvement in the private aspects of your living, and your participations in mass events has much to do with your estimations of the physical situation and with your belief and desire regarding it. The action of the inner ego within the wider sphere of framework 2 explain many events and seeming coincidence that otherwise seems to take no sense within your world. Many realities within framework 2 cannot suitably be explained as facts to you in framework 1 simply because they involve psychological sickness. They cannot be translated into facts as you think of them. To really understand your own connection with the events you encounter privately and in relationship to others, you must first become acquainted with that medium in which events themselves are formed. Right, here is the end of chapter 3. We will see you later.